Welcome to another episode of Living with FASD, an educational and human interest show for those affected by prenatal exposure to alcohol, their loved ones, and anyone else interested in learning about fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. Today, we are going to be continuing with our series of adults living with FASD so that you, the viewer or listener, can learn more about what this experience is like for us. And you will find as you keep listening that everyone's experience is very different. We're all impacted differently depending on the timing of exposure in the womb, the quantity of alcohol we were exposed to, how often we were exposed to alcohol, and a myriad of other factors. Not the least includes, what other drugs or substances we were exposed to. For instance, I got a daily dose of both alcohol and nicotine, and I know that's fairly common. We also are very individual in the strengths that we have, and that also helps us navigate life differently. So if you've met one person with FASD, you've met only one person with FASD because we're all different. So today, I welcome to the mic Danielle Finnegan. She comes to us from up in British Columbia area, living on an island. I'm so jealous. And so, yeah, welcome, Danielle. I'm so glad you could join me.
Hi, Patty. Thank you.
All right. So, how did you come to learn that you had FASD and how old were you at the time?
I was diagnosed when I was 33,
Okay.
and I learned that I had FASD when my mom went to an FASD conference
Okay.
in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay. And
And then
and
she noticed some of the traits that were portrayed there, and
uh-huh.
she basically came back and reported to me.
Okay. So she went seeking answers for, what made you tick and the quirks that you have, or
Definitely, yes.
okay. All right. You may know already that I have a particular soft spot for those of us who came to understand that we have this fairly late in life. Because it's a whole different experience from those whose parents have known from when the kiddos were pretty little. What was your initial reaction to the diagnosis?
When I was a kid, I was diagnosed with dyslexia,
Mhm.
and I thought that was just sort of initially it.
Okay.
And then when I was finally diagnosed with FASD, I was very angry.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, just the struggles that I have had to face and to
Mhm.
literally fight fight for, um, I wouldn't have had them if things had been different.
Okay. All right. And so were you angry at your mom or your birth mom, or were you just angry at the alcohol industry, or where was
All
all of
of the above and
all
then
of
some.
okay. All right. Um how long was that process for you between that initial rage, right? And the acceptance piece of things.
I'm not sure, I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was a long time.
Mhm.
It was a few, I would say it was definitely, I'm gonna just pick 6 months at least
Okay. Well,
before
that's
I
actually not bad.
it could have
Um
been longer, but I just don't
yeah.
have a concept of time, so I really don't
Oh,
know.
yeah. Yeah. Because there is a lot to be upset about, right? Particularly if we have a lot of struggles growing up and no one's understanding, why we're having the challenges that we are, then, we get blamed and shamed for being odd or different or not being able to do things that people assume we should be able to do. that can pile up a lot of resentments.
Yes, it definitely does that.
Yeah. So now that you have that explanation of FASD, right? And that it's the alcohol that gave you prenatal brain injuries, how do you feel about it at this point? How do you has it changed the way you see yourself at this point?
Well, I've accepted it now and I do what I can. And if I can't, I was, oh, well, I tried that and it didn't work.
Mhm.
Maybe there's another way to do it that would make sense to my brain.
Mhm.
But if I can't do it, I usually just give up. Depends what it is.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. What were some of the struggles from your youth that the diagnosis explained for you?
Not being able to read and write like everybody else. I
Mhm.
read slowly.
Yeah.
Um, that was, I wouldn't call that youth. That was more like younger person as opposed to youth.
Okay.
I consider youth like 13 and above ish.
Okay.
So that was more younger. And I still read slowly.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
just
I do.
things that I should be able to do that I can't do.
Okay. I noticed you used that word should.
I'm not supposed to use that word, am I?
It's a four-letter word.
It's a lot of four-letter words. I have one for you. Snow.
It
It's gonna snow today.
As the weather has shifted significantly where I am too.
I know I
Yesterday,
saw on TV that.
yeah, yesterday was like 72 and blue skies, everything, air was clear, and now everything's overcast and significantly colder, and it feels like we're going to get a doozy.
Well, we
So,
had blue sky, sun, and snow all at the same time yesterday.
oh, that's trippy.
It was a
So,
bit.
so yeah, should is a four-letter word because of the effect it has on people, right? Because should conveys judgment. And it's never comfortable to feel judged by someone.
No, it
um,
really isn't.
and it's no less uncomfortable when we're judging ourselves. So what are some of those things that you feel you ought to be able to do that you're not able to?
Math.
Okay, that trips a
Um,
lot of us up.
that's all I can think of offhand.
Okay, but math is in everything that in so much of what we do, right? It certainly
Oh,
makes
definitely.
shopping very challenging.
It does.
Yeah.
Especially because we have lots of sales tax in BC.
Oh, yeah.
BC
Yeah.
stands for bring cash.
I never heard that before. I like it.
Well, that's because you're in California.
Yeah, well, we need to bring a lot of cash here too. Taxes are insane. Um, okay. How would you say that FASD continues to affect you?
Being judged constantly.
Mhm. So do
Not
you
being able to keep a job, which is extremely frustrating.
yeah,
I can get a job, I just can't keep a job.
yeah. What kinds of things make it difficult? That stand in your way of successfully staying in a job.
Um, mm, thanks. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Well, let's try this. How long do you typically keep a job before your employer lets you go?
Usually the probationary period,
Okay. So the first
but
30, 90 days?
90 days, yeah.
Okay.
But in the past, I've worked for friends and that they've just understand that I'm not quite like everybody else and they've given me a break and
Okay. So that's worked a little better for you.
yes.
Yeah. I think really one of the secrets is finding something that maximizes our strengths and minimizes our challenges, because not everything's a good fit, right?
Mhm.
Like like if we struggle with sensory input and time pressure and math, you would not want us to be at the register of a fast food joint.
No,
It's not a good match.
no.
Whereas maybe greeting someone or being in the hospitality industry might work a little better.
I took 2
So,
years of hospitality management at Vancouver Community College,
okay.
dropped all 10 math classes.
Oh,
Therefore, I didn't graduate.
okay. So
But
math
passed
comes in
everything
handy even
else.
in that then.
Pardon me?
I said math comes in handy even with that then.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew?
I didn't
Okay.
know that they would stop any extra tutoring for people with disabilities when I
They,
registered for that.
oh,
And that just happened to be the year that our premier of British Columbia cut
mhm.
all the extra tutoring for anybody with disabilities.
Oh, that's just not cool.
No,
That's not cool. I was seeing something on Instagram earlier about challenging economic times, right? The costs of everything keep rising, and yet the financial supports for those who are disabled, yeah, they're not going up. So, it's already an almost unbearable struggle. And how much more so are we being left behind? So, um, a lot of us who learn about our diagnosis later in life, as you and I did, we become advocates for the community, for, of those affected by prenatal exposure. What have you done to help raise awareness of FASD?
I made a movie about FASD.
Oh, that's
My
cool. Tell us about it.
my 16 and a half minutes of fame. It was 15 minutes on the dot until I watched the movie. And I said, people with FASD don't read that fast. So I had to make the movie longer.
Well, and we have to be a little different anyway, right? We need more than
Exactly.
15. Everyone else gets 15.
I had 16 and a half.
Okay. So what kind of response have you gotten to the movie?
I have gotten the most amazing responses ever.
Yeah.
I have had so much positive feedback and kind words from people that
Mhm.
it's quite overwhelming, actually.
Okay. Have you gotten any feedback about, oh, now I understand, so and so in my life? Or, I didn't realize that about FASD or
I've had a
something?
lot of I didn't know that about FASD.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. What are some of the things that people are introduced to about FASD through your documentary?
I don't remember. Oh, maybe lack of memory issues?
That was a perfect example.
Yeah, wasn't it though?
Okay. Yeah, but really, I mean, how many people struggle with memory issues and don't understand why it's
Mhm.
so hard, right? But brain injuries certainly explain it. And if someone's, gotten hit in the head with a baseball, or, in a boxing match, or playing football or soccer or any other contact sport, or, say they're, unfortunately jumped or something like that, or a car accident, yeah, we give them all kinds of grace about their brains working differently. And yeah, where's that grace for us, right?
There isn't any.
So so have you gotten feedback about that kind of thing from people after watching your movie?
I have just also the increasing of awareness of FASD,
Hmm.
that people just don't understand that it's actually a thing
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a very common thing.
yeah,
And there's no need for it anymore. People are educated, or maybe not so much, because they still drink. And
yeah,
doctors still say, oh, 1 glass of wine is okay, when
yeah,
it isn't.
yeah. So there are different ways of challenging that notion. And I'm just going to tease everybody in the audience that I recently conducted an experiment that's going to challenge that very notion. So,
Well,
and
now you got me curious.
yeah, stick around when we're done recording. I'll fill you in.
I want to know now.
I yeah, nope, can't do it. And that's challenging for me because I have a hard time when I'm excited about something and passionate about something, I have a hard time not blurting it out, right?
Me too.
And yeah, I think that's something else that a lot of us struggle with. And I think that's kind of related to the tendency to interrupt people, you know,
Mhm.
and which is kind of related to the memory issue, right? Because so many of us will interrupt not because we like being rude, but because we're afraid that, gosh darn it, we have a really good point, and if I have to wait,
I'm going to forget
forget
it.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that neurotypical people just don't give out grace for very well at all.
Nor do they understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't make provisions in that concept either, really.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
assume that you should be able to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, taking turns in talking as well as in playing a game, you know, is a skill we should have by the time we get to kindergarten. And but
And we don't.
but hey, if we have impressed ourselves with the genius of an idea that flitted through our mind,
Flitted. That's the perfect word. It literally was there 2 seconds ago. It's gone now.
yeah, like a butterfly. Choo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I call them momentary flashes of brilliance,
Okay. That works for me.
right?
It's too bad
Uh,
they're only that momentary.
right, right. So, um, a lot of us we grow up being blamed and shamed and oftentimes punished for
Mhm.
not being able to meet people's expectations about the way we should be able to do things or the things that we should know by now. Or, if we could do it yesterday, why can't we do it today? Um,
That happened when I worked for Starbucks.
okay.
I could
So,
make a caramel macchiato yesterday, no problem. To, and then today I can't make it at all. I made thousands of them yesterday, but
yeah.
today I have no idea what goes in it. I know caramel goes in it because it's in the name.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think mine is salted caramel
Oh,
today.
fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a Starbucks on my island.
I got one of those ninja coffee bars.
Hmm.
And so my whole counter is lined with sugar-free coffee syrups.
Oh, fancy.
So I'm my own barista and I make a latte, at least one, at least one latte every day.
Hey, why not?
So if people are wondering
Cheaper than Starbucks.
oh yeah, it paid for itself in a month. Um, but so oftentimes we have cognitive abilities or, I mean, people have expectations of others along the lines of cognitive abilities or behavioral abilities or being socially adept, right? And sometimes our brain injuries just make it impossible for us to meet those expectations. What message do you have for um, for anyone who wondering, well, what's wrong with them? That they can't do those things, that they don't know this by now, yada, yada, yada.
Don't give up and keep trying.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe instead of being judgy, be curious instead. Like, I wonder what's keeping them from being able to do whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we can offer support instead of judgment to one another.
Hmm.
Yeah. What bugs you the most in terms of the stigma that you face?
Everybody assuming that there's nothing wrong with me.
Mhm. Yeah. Because you're not missing a limb.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. It's an
Yeah.
invisible disability.
Yeah.
And invisibility.
Yeah. It's nowadays there's so much on semantics, right? They're like, well, don't use the term invisible, use hidden.
I like
And
invisible better
okay, tell me why.
because it is invisible. It's not
Mhm,
hidden. I
mhm.
put it right there out in the open for everybody to see.
Okay. Okay, so you
Watch my
call it out.
movie and you'll see it.
Yeah, so you call it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like invisible better than hidden.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not one for semantics games, and I'm very un-PC just because things change so much I can't keep up with it.
I like
So
to call a spade a spade.
if I ever offend anyone in the audience, I'm sorry.
Me too.
But yeah, what I hear a lot of times, oh, that's just a cop out, right?
I hear that a lot too.
It's just a cop out. You really don't have a disability. But I can't imagine why anyone thinks it would be an attractive idea to pretend to have challenges in life.
Definitely.
What's in it for us, right? Because we have the same motivations and desires as anybody else,
Yep.
you know, to be able to do for ourselves and, get things and,
Or not
find
get things.
find love, right, and a meaningful life partner, and find a way of earning money that's also fun in the process, the same desires to be healthy.
Exactly.
There's no upside to having challenges that interfere with the ability for us to do sometimes even very basic things.
Yep.
And and I think too that's the danger of assuming that if we know someone with, as I said in the beginning of the episode, if we know someone with FASD, then we know FASD because
But we
yeah,
don't.
mm-mm,
Because everybody is different, as you said.
yeah. What
We
what
have
are
common traits.
yeah, yeah. Um, what are some of the strengths that you use to navigate life, to overcome your challenges?
My sense of humor.
Mm, I love that about you.
Thanks,
You
Batty.
you make me crack up in our
Oh, well, that's a
calls.
good thing, I think.
Yeah, you
Considering
keep
this is our third round at this.
So let me say something to the audience to explain that. Danielle and I have sat down to record this episode now for the third time. Um, and as you've noticed a few times already in this episode, we've chased a few squirrels, right? Meaning we've gotten off topic and we've gone there for a moment or two and then pulled it back and gotten our focus back to, what we think, you guys might find educational or inspirational. But being able to maintain that focus is a very common challenge for a great many of us. It's why one of the most common misdiagnoses is ADHD, where you're constantly chasing squirrels. you know
There goes.
Even mid-sentence, all of a sudden we're on to something else. And the first two times that Danielle and I sat down together, I think we were living in a den of squirrels. The second one was a lot better than the first one, but yeah, we wanted you to keep listening, so we we agreed to try it. Third time's a charm, right?
That's
So
right. 3 times lucky.
so yeah, it can be very difficult, but even in all of our conversations, not just the attempted recordings, I really enjoy your sense of humor, and that does carry us a long way in being able to navigate life, right? Because with so many things, it's a matter of attitude and perspective and how we look at things. We can allow ourselves to be totally miserable and depressed by the challenges we have, or we can just say it's part of the journey and move on. What else has been helpful to you?
the support of my mom. She's an
Mhm.
angel.
Mhm.
And my family in general.
Yeah. A blessing to still have them.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
My brother and his wife and kids are amazing. Live on the other side of the country, so I don't see them very often, but
Oh, so they're over on the East Coast?
they are, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so is most of my family. Yeah.
We have better weather over here.
I don't know. I like 4 seasons.
I
Of
do
course,
too.
where I'm at, it's warm, hot, fire, and fog.
We
Are
still get warm, hot, fire, fog, and heat domes.
heat dumps?
Domes.
Domes. Okay.
Called a heat dome, and then the tide goes out, and the shellfish on the beach all gets cooked because it's really, really hot.
Wow.
And then it smells terrible.
Oh, nasty. Nasty. Okay.
That was pretty gross.
That's a squirrel that we don't need to chase any further.
Nope, we're gonna leave it at that. I think that
So,
was more of an oyster than a squirrel, but
so how hard has it been for you to focus on your strengths and build upon them when so much of life has seemed to focus on your challenges?
I'm not really sure what the rest of my strengths are.
Okay.
Um, other than my sense of humor, I have to laugh at everything.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll just end up in tears,
Yeah.
and that's just not useful.
Yeah. No, it doesn't help anybody.
No.
So,
Well, sometimes it does.
okay.
Sometimes crying is good for you.
Yeah, it releases a lot of toxins.
Exactly.
But if it's an everyday thing, it's not doing that.
No, probably not. Should probably
Is
go on
is
antidepressants if it's an everyday thing.
right? Yes. So, is there anything else that, that you want folks to understand about what it's like living with FASD?
I can't think of anything off the bat
Okay,
right now.
okay. Well, so you have the movie out. Tell me what other projects you're involved in.
Um, right now, just advocacy. I'm trying to. I run a Facebook page, and I'm trying to make FASD more in front and center
Mhm.
because there's just so many people that actually have the FASD.
Yeah. Okay. And do you have how many followers do you have on that?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I
Is it a
don't know.
page or a group?
It's a group. It's just
Okay.
on Facebook. It's just called
Okay.
Salt Spring and Gulf Islands FASD group, but it's open to anybody. You don't have to live here.
Yeah.
I just used that as a name because I couldn't come up with anything original.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that'll work.
Because I look for it in my list of groups and I never see it.
I will send you an invite for it to it.
Okay. Then I'll start posting my new episode alerts
Oh, please
to it.
do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
post your episodes in the thing, but I do have to go to your page.
Okay.
I see it on my pages. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
there's
So
Patti. I'm gonna post that, but I have to go to your page in order to get the share link.
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. So I'll see if I can start make that a little easier. Um, are you doing anything else for FASD awareness right now?
Besides my Facebook group, my producer of my movie
Mhm.
wants me to go around to the liquor stores and the schools and do talks and stuff, but I haven't quite gotten to that stage yet.
Okay.
But that was actually supposed to be this morning, but I canceled
Oh,
for this. So I gotta see him tomorrow. I'll
okay.
have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. All right. So do you have any ideas yet about anything that you might be doing for September? It's
That's
a,
way too far ahead.
Okay, so 6 months is too far.
My calendar doesn't go that far.
Except for doctor appointments, right?
Well, it depends what kind of doctor it is. And they
Okay.
better send me an email reminder or a text
Right?
message or I'm in big trouble.
Right?
Yeah.
I live by my phone. Okay. So are there things that you've done for awareness month in the past that have been enjoyable that you might think about doing again?
Just wearing my red shoes
There you go.
because red shoes rock for FASD
Yeah.
awareness.
Yep. Okay. All right. So um oh gosh. So nothing else that you want to be sharing or talking about today?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Then I guess we have a 45-minute episode then.
Okay, that was 45 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that
See,
was fast.
we have done very well at keeping the squirrels at bay because I think our first one was an hour and a half. Oh, all right. Danielle, thank you for your patience in sitting down with me 3 times.
Thank you, Patty. This has been so much
And
fun.
and then the next time we talk, we won't be recording, so it won't matter how many squirrels we have.
Okay, good.
And yeah, we can just gab on like 2 girlfriends.
Perfect. I'm in.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Living with FASD. Tune in again next week for another candid conversation with Patti Kasper on Living with FASD. I am obviously Patti Kasper, your host and your FASD coach. If you want great places to be in a good community, then go to Salt Spring Island FASD. Did I say it right?
Salt Spring and Gulf
And
Islands.
Gulf Islands FASD community
Group.
to hmm?
Group.
Group. Yep. Or the Living with FASD podcast group on FASD, or the Flying with Broken Wings group on on Facebook. That's another very good community.
And watch
Um,
my movie on YouTube.
Yes, absolutely. The link for Danielle's 16 and a half minute documentary will be in the show notes so that you can pull that out and check it out and share it amongst others that you think could really use just a little bit more, right? Because you never know what people are going to resonate with, the way different people say things or express things. It's going to bring ahas to different people. So the more you can share, the better our awareness campaign will go overall. And so I invite you to do that. Keep listening and sharing this podcast. And if you have ideas for topics or guests that you think would be pretty neat for me to interview, then please write to me at livingwithfasdpodcast@gmail.com. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.